Hope Nation, Pastor Bell, God bless you. It's a great day today. God is good, and he's worthy to be praised, and we're thankful for what God is doing, how God is moving in the midst. Thank you. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. I'm asking you to contact someone right now and tell them virtual Bible study is taking place. We are here to feed you. We are here to walk with you. We are here to hopefully give you some words of encouragement. I want to thank you. We're going to bring this series to a close. What God is saying tonight, through preaching on Sunday morning and through Bible study and all other aspects of delivering his word. We hope that we've given you a message. We hope we've given you some encouragement that will inspire you and hopefully motivate you to understand that God is speaking. And it's so important that you speak back to God. Speak back to him. Tell him thank you. Tell him how grateful you are for waking you up this morning. Tell him how grateful you are for starting you on a new journey, encouraging you. Thank God for your mother and your father. Thank God for your children. Thank God for your mate. Thank God for your church. Thank God for your spiritual leader. Thank God for the job he's given you. Thank God for every aspect of his presence in your life. But more importantly, thank him that you're saved and that Jesus Christ is your Lord. And he's the captain of your ship. And he's guiding and directing you. Your Christ has something to say. And you've been listening. So thank him for that. And I thank you for joining us in this series. I hope it has encouraged you. I hope it has inspired you, giving you some motivation, some inspiration as you deliberate in the next steps God has for your life. Remember that next Tuesday is Impact Tuesday. Dr. Danielle's coming in town, and she's going to preach and teach and encourage us. So I'm asking you to come out, bring a friend, and encourage someone to come out and hear what thus saith the Lord. November 28th, the last Tuesday of November, Impact Tuesday, that we can get to the next steps of our lives with a strong preach and teach word. The woman of God will be preaching, teaching. Guest choir is going to bring wonderful music. We're going to have a wonderful time. It's beginning at 7:30 next Tuesday. Come out. You'll be in for a treat. Come out and hear what God is saying. Tonight, we're in the 27th chapter of Acts of the Apostles. They're still on the ship, and they're bringing it in. They're still on the ship, and they're bringing the ship in. We're in the 27th chapter of Acts of the Apostles. And I'm going to start reading at the 39th verse. Acts 27, verse 39. When morning dawned, they didn't recognize the coastline, but they saw a bay with a beach and wondered if they could get to shore by running the ship aground. So they cut off the anchors and left them in the sea. Then they lowered the rudders and raised the foresail and headed toward shore. But they hit the shoal and ran the ship aground too soon. The bow of the ship stuck fast, while the stern was repeatedly smashed by the force of the waves and began to break apart. The soldiers wanted to kill the prisoners to make sure they didn't swim ashore and escape. But the commanding officer wanted to spare Paul, so he didn't let them carry out their plan. Then he ordered all who could swim to jump overboard first and make it to land. The others held on to the planks or debris from the broken ship. So everyone escaped safely to shore. Man, here we are. Your ship is going through a difficult circumstance and turmoil. Your ship and my ship eventually has to land. Eventually, whatever we're going through has to come to some conclusion. It has to come to some end. And so what is God saying as we see things become closer? As we sense things coming closer, as we visualize but also discern whatever I'm battling with is coming to a head. Whatever I'm battling with, is coming to a situation where it's about to end. And sometimes you don't really understand the results or the ending of what's going to happen. But one thing you got to trust is that God is still guiding the ship. God is still, please believe me, guiding your life. God is still ordering your steps. God is still putting you in great situations. In great situations, you don't think it's great. You're like, what is going on here? But God is positioning you for deliverance. Let's look at it. When morning dawned, morning is here. It's over now. You're coming on in. Rejoice. Believe that this situation that you're in is coming to a conclusion. And the best side of you is going to be revealed. The benefits of going through what you went through. Eventually, it's going to come to your senses. And you're going to come out better than you went in. Morning is here. When I think of morning, I think of resurrection. When I think of morning, I think of something better is coming. When I think of morning, I think of beauty, the splendor of God's presence, the awesome of God's spiritual architecture. When I think of morning, I think of the Lord doing great things and doing it for my benefit. Oh, I get the growth, but he gets the glory. It's so important as we look at this that we understand what's going on. When morning dawned, they didn't recognize the coastline. Don't be deceived. I leave you with these words as we close this series out. What is God saying? Don't be deceived. You might not be able to see the ending, but the ending is near. The text says they couldn't see the coastline. So when you can't see the ending, you start getting scared. When you can't see the ends being met, you start getting scared. When the money doesn't come in the way it's supposed to come in, you start getting scared. But hold up. No. Remove the fear. God is going to bring things to pass for your betterment. They couldn't see the coastline, but the coastline was there. They couldn't see the healing, but the healing is there, somebody. You can't see your deliverance, but the deliverance is there. Sometimes it's the fog. Sometimes it's the fear. Sometimes it's other people that blind you from the coastline. They couldn't see the coastline, but the coastline was there. I'm trying to tell somebody, you can't see your blessing. You can't see the other side, but the other side is there. God has it. God is working it, and it's going to come into fruition. Just hold on and wait for it to come, because you know what? Great things happen to those who wait. They didn't recognize the coastline, but they saw a bay with a beach and wondered if they can get to shore by running the ship aground. So they cut off the anchors and left them in the sea. They lowered the rudders, raised the foresail, and headed toward shore. But they hit a shoal and ran aground too soon. The bow of the ship stuck fast, while the stern was repeatedly smashed by the force of the waves and began to break apart. The soldiers wanted to kill the prisoners to make sure they didn't swim ashore and escape. But the commanding officer wanted to spare Paul, so he didn't let them carry out their plan. I'm going to stop right here. The reason why there's some good news, the reason why your ship, your life is going to be all right, because God is not going to let the enemy carry out the plan. The enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. He comes to wipe you out. He comes to steal the godliness that has kept you. He's coming to steal your joy. He's coming to steal your testimony. He wants to take away your life, but God won't allow it. For somebody listening right now, there's someone that doesn't like you, but God's going to use them to help you. There's someone you don't even know that God has assigned to get you from point A to point B. There's someone that you have no idea of that's been assigned to help you with your deliverance and your hope for tomorrow. I'm trying to tell you that God is a God of strategy. God is a God that plans and works things out. God is a God that orchestrates and orders steps and orders situations. The whole aspect of the ship was ruined, but no one was touched. I don't know what God's going to demolish in your life, but you're coming out of it. I don't know what house you might lose, what car you might lose. I don't know how the cancer is going to affect your life or your breast or your kidneys. I don't know. But one thing I do know, you're coming out. Because whatever gets smashed, God's going to take the residue of it and bring you out. The same way he brought these prisoners out, he's going to bring you out. And you know what? You know what? The enemy has been put in place to destroy you, even in the midst of you trying to find the next walk in your life. Because the same way God never sleeps nor slumber, you better believe it. The enemy is always finding a way to derail you, always finding a way to cut you off, and always trying to find a way to hurt you. But thanks be to God in Jesus Christ. You got to be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. Hear me now, because your labor is not in vain in the Lord. 1 Corinthians 15, 57, 58, and 59. Hang in there. Don't give up. Don't throw in the towel. I don't care what is smashed. I don't care what is demolished. You will survive. You are a survivor. You will make it somehow. That's what God is saying. You're going to make it. The reason why is that your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, was a survivor. And he survived. And because he survived, he now reigns. And because he reigned, you shall reign also. The commanding officer wanted to spare Paul. God will give you favor with the highest people in your network. God will give you favor with the highest people in your presence. God will give you favor with your pastor. God will give you favor with people you would never think that would even know your name. The commanding officer wanted to spare Paul. Oh, come on. Come on. Come on. See, I think oftentimes we're wondering how we're going to get out, and God has already strategically orchestrated a way to get out. Paul did not know that the commanding officer had his best interests in mind. You don't know who God is positioning to have your best interests in mind. I speak peace over you now, that God has ordered someone to come your way. I speak peace over your life now, that you will come in contact with some doctor, some finance officer, some individual that will give you hope in your situation in the midst of all the despair that's surrounding you. Yeah. Let me say this. If you lose something material, that can be restored. Worrying about houses and land and cars, you can get that back. The ship tore into pieces. It broke apart. Something else in the text I think is very significant, and I've got to bring it up as we close out what God is saying. The soldiers wanted to kill the prisoners and make sure they didn't swim ashore and escape. But the commanding officer wanted to spare Paul, so he didn't let them carry out their plan. Then he ordered all who could swim to jump overboard first and make for land. The others held on to planks or debris from the broken ship. Let me say this. Jesus Christ said in the Gospels, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man can come to the Father except by me. He is the way. But I want to go a little further in as we look at this scenario. God has made a way. And he's made a way based on your situations, your talent, your skill set, and what you are experiencing at the time. Read the text. Those who could swim, swim for shore. So for those who had the gift of knowing how to swim, that was their way of escape. But also the debris and the pieces of the ship that was broken, others held onto it like life jackets, and they made it to shore. I'm going to tell you right now, God can use something you would never imagine to bring you in. God can bring something you would never think of to bring you in. God can take $10, $5. God can take a broken down car. God can take a job from the bottom and raise you up to the top. Look at Joseph in the Genesis work, in the Genesis writing, how God took him from a slave to a prisoner to one day being second in charge of Egypt. I'm just trying to tell you this. Your ship is going up and down, but it's about to come in. And let me say this right now. There are some things in our lives that need to be smashed up. There are some things in our lives that God, you know what, as we read this story, every week they were lighting the load. Every week they were letting things go. And so now the ship is towed up. And so if God has to tear some things up in your life, if God has to rip some people away from you, some friends you thought was your friends, some people had to go to get you to where he needs you to go, then hey, so be it. Thank him for it. Thank him for it. Sometimes what's held us down, sometimes we can't see the coastline because the wrong people are in our lives. Oh, God, thank you. Oh, God, thank you. Thank you. Thank you that I lost a friend, but I gained vision. Somebody post that right now. I lost someone who I thought was for me, but you removed them out of my lives, but I gained vision. Thank God. Thank God. I gained understanding. I gained hope. I gained a greater faith. With them gone, I began to see you closely. Come on. Come on. They ran, they jammed, they ran. The ship tore apart. And they made it to safety. Some could swim, some couldn't swim, but those who could not swim, God made other things available that they made it to the shore. And no one was lost. Excuse me. Everyone made it there safely. I want you to start speaking life and not death. I want you to start speaking right now while you're at home. You can speak it online if you want to. That God's going to bring me out. That it's fixed, done, and worked out. That what I'm experiencing, there's hope on the other side. It looked dark, but now the light is here. It looked hopeless, but hope now is smiling upon me. I couldn't see, but I can see now. What I lost, he's going to restore. Start speaking it. I was blind, but now I see. Speak it to me. Let me know. Put it in the post as we close this series out. I could not hear God at one time, but he's speaking to me now. He was speaking all along, but I can hear him. Somebody post that to me. I can hear him now. My future is bright. My grandchild is coming out. My son, I'm going to pray him out of this situation. But start speaking life right now to me. Put it in the post. Don't just listen to me. Speak it. Go ahead and type it up. And then speak it aloud in your home. Speak it aloud in your basement. Speak it aloud in your car. Wherever you are right now on this virtual Bible study, start speaking it aloud. They made it safely. They came out. God brought them out. Yes, he did. And God is going to bring you out. God is bringing me out. Put an ing on it. God is healing me. God is sustaining me. God is providing a job for me. God is keeping me. Look at those words I use: keeping, providing, sustaining, bringing. Come on, start speaking it. Come on. Drown the fear. You take control of the fear. Let the faith of God drown the fear away. You start walking in victory. You start believing in victory. You start believing you're victorious. Oh, yes, you are. Hey, come on. He's brought you out. Everybody was spared. I don't know what God got you leaning on. I don't know what debris is going to bring you out. These pieces of the ship brought these men to shore. And I don't know what pieces are left over from brokenness, from pain, teach pastor. But God's going to use it to bring you out. Hey, I'm happy for you. I'm rejoicing. Because God takes the things you think are mundane and performs miracles. God takes the things you think that are useless and brings joy and gratitude and everlasting. And the word I want to use is everlasting miraculous works in your life. That's why Acts of the Apostles is so important. Because it's Acts of the Holy Spirit. Come on. Come on with me now. This shipwreck was terrible. Everybody should have been killed. But this miraculous event, Acts of the Holy Spirit, brought them in. I love it. I love it. You know, see, I love when God does things and we see the natural disaster of it. We see the pain, the death, the hurt. But also when we look at that, we see the spiritual side. We see the natural side because we live in a broken world. But also we experience the spiritual side. So I never want you to think that the natural won't have any natural consequences or impact. But when it's all said and done, the spiritual side will always reign. And you will get the greater victory. So through death, through pain, through hardship, through loss, you will get the victory. So I ask you to shout. I ask you to rejoice. I ask you to thank God. I'm going to go back and do some research, and I'm going to try to determine how many days they were on that ship. And I don't know how many days your ship has been going up and down. But I'm telling you, it was worth it. I know it was scary. I know it was difficult, but it's worth it. It's worth it because it helps you build your intimacy with God. And it's worth it because it helps you learn how to trust and believe in God. And it gives you a testimony. Whatever these prisoners, we know why Paul was in jail because he was preaching the gospel. But whatever these other individuals were in jail for that was going to trial, I hope that this experience revolutionized their lives. That they recognize the fact that they wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the power and might of God. I thank you for allowing what God is saying in your life to be a pivotal focus point or focal point, and you making the right turn and securing the destiny journey that God has for you. All of our journeys are different. I might go through this. You might go through sickness. I might go through hardships in this area. It could be through parents, through children. I don't know what your ship is going through, but the waves has it going. But I'm telling you right now, you got to start speaking life because you're coming through. And the interesting part about it is that this journey is this journey. I wish we were storm-free, but we're not storm-free. That for a season you might have some peace, but the storms keep coming. But every time the storms come, your faith becomes stronger. And your faith becomes a firm foundation in your life. and you realize that even though I must encounter the sicknesses and the disasters and the infirmities of life, I've got a God who walks with me, who talks with me through every amazing event I have to encounter. You are a winner, not a loser. You are victorious. You are not someone who walks in defeatism. You have conquered the storm, and now you're ready to walk in the next aspect of your journey. I thank you for walking with me through this series. What is God saying? He's saying, I'm going to find something to bring you in. Excuse me. I found something to bring you in. I don't know what it is. You can be in your house and say, golly, and just run across something. You can be in the car and just hear something. Whatever it is that you can touch or hear, it's going to bring you in. What brought these men in was the words that Paul said. They heard it, and what brought these men in was the debris that God allowed them to hold on to guide them to shore, or their ability to swim it on in. Hey, it's going to be all right. I'm happy for you. And I'm awaiting to see you one day when you have your testimony online or in person, how God has brought you out. What is God saying? He's saying the ship might smash. Embarrassment might take place. I don't know. Hardship might come. But I'm still bringing you out. What is God saying? Favor has your name on it. And the commanding officer wanted to spare Paul. And because the commanding officer wanted to spare Paul, he made sure all the other prisoners were spared. God has a plan already orchestrated for your escape, for your deliverance, for your blessing, for the next step of your life. I love you. Thank you for the journey together during this series. We'll see you next Tuesday for Impact Tuesday. There won't be any Bible study. We'll be in morning worship. You can come online and watch it, Facebook, YouTube. Dr. Danielle is going to preach a powerful word and teach a powerful word and have a wonderful worship experience as we close everything out. We will see you in Bible study the first Tuesday in December, ready to go as we come down the holiday season for a couple of weeks and hear what God is sharing us or sharing with us for the next phase and journey. Love you. This is Pastor Bell. Peace, and I'll see you soon, Hope Nation. Happy Thanksgiving.